All right. We are back again
Yes.
for like episode something. It's been a lot of them.
It's an episode.
It's an episode.
That's all I know.
Might be a fun episode though.
I think so.
Yeah. What's our topic?
The topic today is time. What about it?
Seems like a very broad topic.
It does seem like a broad topic.
Like huge.
We should probably narrow it down a little bit.
A little bit. I think more so when we mean time, we mean time to focus and maintain and do the things that you want to do, know and love. As you know, this guy is a doctor, Dr. Smith.
Some days.
He's also a family man, loves his parents. He's also a man who's found time for guitar. Also a man who wants to write books. He's has a lot, and he's also someone who started a podcast, makes time for his friends. So that's a lot. Absolutely a lot.
Yeah.
Are you overwhelmed by it?
No.
That's what our podcast is about. So we both, as people, do a lot.
Yes.
And our old audit is you find time for the things you want.
You mean adage?
Adage, yeah.
Adage,
yeah.
Okay. This is our friendship.
In a nutshell. But we've said something since our tech days is you find time for the things you want to find time for.
Right. I think that we've done well by that.
We really have. Like even the fact that you were 6-hour flight away in Grenada and us saying we're going to talk every single Sunday as an update. And we maybe missed 1 or 2 Sundays for
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
So a Sunday a year.
Right.
50, how many weeks? 52 weeks in a year?
Yeah, so 104.
Yeah, so 104, we did 102 of them. I think that's like a 99 on the test.
It's a pretty good track record.
Yeah, exactly. If I was making grades like that at Tech, I would have been ecstatic. I would have been a genius.
Yeah.
Like nobody was making grades like that at Tech unless you were management.
Yeah. I probably would have gone to med school for a different spot
if
that happens.
Fair. But you wouldn't have got the Grenadian culture.
No, I wouldn't have.
That's fantastic. So time. So I guess how do we do it? I'm gonna start off and say I don't have a wife and job. And
I don't either. But what we do have is very close relationships with the family that we do have.
Yeah.
Right.
Very do. So we do have our nuclear family is we're both very close to both of them. So it's not like being husbands and fathers, but we are a step below that in terms of that. But so I do have more time because I don't have a woman who we depend upon each other,
right? And
children who depend upon me. So that does create free time. But I think even for people who do have families, it's really with everything in life, there's sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Every single thing. So no matter what you choose or don't choose, there's a sacrifice that comes with that. So with time, there's only 24 hours. So literally just the concept of time is sacrifice. Like when you say, hey, I'm going to sleep 8 hours a day. So I'm sacrificing those 8 hours. I have to go to work. You could
be doing something else.
You could be.
Yeah.
I have to go to work 8 hours a day. I'm sacrificing those 8 hours. Now, obviously sleep is vital. Work, you have to put food on the table, but it is a sacrifice. So then with those other 8 hours, what are you dedicating those to? Are you being strategic about the effort that you're going to put in, or is it just, I'm going to get home, I may eat something, I might take a shower,
Are you being purposeful?
Yes.
Yes.
So I know for me, I try to do some type of physical workout activity every single day.
Yeah.
I failed many days. But
it's funny, one of my attendings is I do something he's like, I do something for pleasure, I do something out of kindness, and I do something unhealthy every day.
That's
right.
That's kind of nice.
Right. So he had just done the stairs, right? I think that was he actually, one of them was exercise or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he gave me a hug. He was like, that was my kindness. And he's like, I'm gonna eat these jalapeno chips. That's my unhealthy pleasure thing.
Sounds like a good day.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great day.
It was a good day.
And so I know one of the things that helps me is, like I said, being purposeful about your day. So I know like when I lay down to go to sleep or slash around before to go to sleep, I think about my next day. And I think about, okay, so I know this amount of time or approximately around this amount of time to be at work. And so if I want to work out, if I want to make that a workout day, like it's just a day where like I'm gonna be working extra hours and I get on, I know I'm gonna be tired. If so, maybe I need to wake up earlier and do it beforehand.
Yep.
And if I can't wake up beforehand, is there any way I can go work out during lunch? Or can I like set aside some amount of time? I also, write scripts. So I try to write every single day. So it's like, when can I set aside time? So a lot of times my lunch break for work, I use it as a time to write my scripts. So it's like, I'm gonna break from work. All right, I'm gonna write my scripts and get that writing in. So it's like, I'm super purposeful, strategic about how I maintain my time.
Right.
The only thing that I am not ever purposeful and strategic about is when it comes down to friendship and family time for the most part. Because I always hate when I have to put time barriers on it. Like even today, right now, like I have a time barrier on when we can do podcasts, how much we can spend. And I really hate it because last time I was here, I didn't have it. And it was perhaps one of our greatest friendship moments we've ever had.
It was amazing.
And so, so that's literally the only thing I'm just not purposeful. If I'm going to watch a movie with my sister, or I'm going to spend the day with my mom, or I'm going to hang out with my brother, it's just like, all right, just all plans are pretty much canceled. I'm just going to go with the flow.
Right.
If things end and I can do something else, okay, things end, I can do something else, but I'm not going to try to dictate that time.
Well, and even then, the purpose is being present, being in the moment, and really putting your energy into enjoying those moments with who you have.
Mm-hmm. True. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
even in these forward-thinking moments, I guess, you still have, you're still living it with purpose.
That's fair. Okay. So would you say you do the same thing similar, or how do you differ from that?
I don't know. So I guess the thing that I put above everything else is consistency, right? So what was it? 2 weekends ago, we couldn't get together because, either me or you was too busy to do something. And we understood that, right? That's something that happens, especially the older you get, the more obligations that you have, it's going to happen. But we made it a point to, you don't give up the next time, right? Mm-hmm. You come back and you get together again. And so I think my thing is even if you're, sorry, I listen to my mom's. Even if you're doing something non-purposefully, then coming back and making a decision to use time a little bit more purposefully next time, right? Which is, this morning I wasn't necessarily purposeful. I watched plenty of Netflix. Mm-hmm. I scrolled through Facebook too many times, Instagram, whatever. And sometimes I think that we need non-purposeful moments just to unwind.
It's a balancing act. But I do say, I think that the balance of not being strategic, we go so hard of non-purposeful moments. Mm-hmm. Like we really make those a priority. Right. And just like, I'm just always gonna be doing nothing, or I'm gonna just be like, my day is just every single day is like that. Or it's just like, you gotta go to work and you're like, you gotta do this. It's like, but it's like, you also have to eat, you have to do, so go to work with a purpose, go to work to and that makes Mondays not as bad. And then if work is just that much of you can't go with a purpose, then
try to change what you're doing.
And again, like I said, we, sometimes not as easy just to jump ship from a different job to job, but if you know that this isn't making you happy, what skills are you developing to try to find something that does make you happy? So again, that becomes more purposeful. It's like, okay, I hate doing my job, but I actually enjoy doing music. Okay, so are you learning a digital audio workstation? Are you learning how to engineer? Are you learning how to produce? Are you trying to take some of the money that you're making from this job and invest in those crafts and skills to learn more? If you are doing that and setting aside resources for the things that you enjoy, the work becomes better. Doesn't become happy, but it becomes better. You don't dread it as much because you feel like it has a plan to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this was that moment in life that I had to go through this, you know. And so that's why I always try to say to people to try to live more so with a purpose, with each step taking a purpose. And the purpose, like I said, because non-purposeful is important. Like it is a balancing act, but like most of it we're just here. You know, and a lot of times I'm just here as well. But it's like I've noticed that as I've gotten a better mental state, a better emotional state, and I've grown more is because
purposefulness.
Yeah. You know.
And the thing I think is funny is even the non-purposeful moments can be purposeful because you did that on purpose.
Yeah. So yeah, I spent time. We spend time with our family. We're doing it on purpose, and we're gonna be present in the moment.
Right.
Honestly, maybe that's what purpose is. Purpose is being present in the moment.
Yeah. Purpose is making a decision using your volition to go about doing something. So if I want to scroll through Facebook, that's great, but make a decision to do it. Don't just do it out of blind habit. Or in other words, make your habits serve you, not the other way around.
Okay, so how do you do that?
Oh, this is one of those do as I say. No, I'm just kidding. So like when I get home, actually one of the first things I do, especially to just unwind, is get out my guitar and play something. So for one thing, I'm unwinding. For something else, I'm putting passion into something that I enjoy. And honestly, if I'm doing it well, then hopefully I'm getting better at it too. Sometimes I'll like look at something on YouTube or one of the people that I like follow when it comes to guitar and try to learn something new that day and keep getting a little bit better or a little bit more developed or a little bit more me, right? Put a little bit more of myself into it that isn't necessarily something that somebody else would do. And then, I mean, since I'm in medicine, you dedicate a little bit of time to studying as well, whether that's an hour, even if that's 30 minutes, depending on how much time you have in the day.
I tell people to do 5 minutes. Well, I literally, because 30 minutes can seem taxing. An hour can seem taxing. I remember I was talking to this one girl one time, and she was talking about she hadn't played piano in so long. And I was like, well, try to do 5 minutes. She's like, no. She said, no, when I sit down, I got to do an hour. And I'm like, that's why you're not doing it.
Right.
Because you feel like you got to do an hour. If you sit down for 5 minutes, you probably will do the hour.
Mm-hmm.
But just it's getting over that hurdle of me having to do an hour. It's almost like we don't like to feel like we have to do something.
Yep.
We wanted to feel like.
Is it an obligation or is it something that you just fell into?
Exactly.
Because,
So 5 minutes. I tell people, 5 minutes. Just put 5 minutes in that gym. If you go to the gym, you're going to do more than 5 minutes. It's literally getting you to the gym in order to work out. That's the hard part.
And then it becomes something that you just do rather than something you're thinking about, oh, I need an hour.
Exactly. So you need to just, like I said, you need to just start doing.
Right.
That's what people don't. They literally like, oh, well, I'm just do. And it's okay if you fall off the horse too.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I remember you telling me something about that along the lines of writing. You were like, as long as you open your laptop up and like look at the last word that you wrote, that is progress.
It is. Because you don't realize how much effort your body is doing unconsciously behind the scenes. Like I literally, like I've been asked like, how do you get over writer's block? I've never had writer's block before in my life. Never. I've never had it. But the whole thing about it is when I can't figure out something or I'm stuck or something like that, I let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And I go do something else.
Right.
I literally because the whole thing about it is you might run into a problem in your mind. It takes some time. Maybe you have to go through an experience.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times, like I've run into a problem in my writing and I maybe wrote something else or I went somewhere else and then I had a problem with someone else. And then I was like, we had an argument. We had something. I was like, oh, okay, that's how the conflict needs to go. Right. I got it. I come back to it and because you're always constantly changing, growing, and learning, whether you know it or not.
Your brain is changing whether you want it to or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Every moment of every day.
And what most people don't like, have you ever noticed how you get like the best ideas like when you're about to lay down in bed or you get in the shower or you're doing something in which you're really turning your brain off, kind of.
Bringing it down.
But you're bringing it down. And so it's like you get in there. That's why the ideas come because you're not focused on it.
Right.
So sometimes
and that's also like, there's a term for that called like incubation, right? So it's where you like have this experience and you're possibly like devoting a lot of focus into putting into a result rather than into the process. And then you get that block or whatever, and you go out and you do whatever. And in the meantime, there's a theory that like, maybe your subconscious mind works through it and it like finds the answer while your conscious mind is directed to like something else that you're doing. And then when you come back, it's just there and there's no longer a block. So that makes me think of that.
And I usually try to do like I have like if I have an hour to work on something, what I usually try to do is I work 45 minutes, I do 15 minutes off.
Right.
And then
which is actually psychologically shown to have like better focus, right? I was going to say better retention, but that retention likely comes from better focus, right?
And then it's like 2 hours, I might do an hour, 30 minutes on and 30 minutes off.
Or, I wouldn't do that, but yeah.
Well, it depends on so we're writing, like I said, if you get in that zone.
If you get in the zone. So, and I guess that's the point is like, if you get to a point you're like, well, I'm tired, then you probably should take a break, right? But if you're in that zone and it's just going and then you look at the clock and you're like, oh, 2 hours passed by. That's not the same thing.
Yeah. I just like when I get in the zone, even at an hour and 30 minutes, I usually try to like get out of the zone a little bit just for like my eyes, like just for a little bit, like to get some water.
Yes,
like
long-term health.
Yeah, get some water, like go stretch, like do like a walk around something, just you can get back in. If you found it, you can get back in it. I think most people are like, oh no, I can't. Like it's okay, you'll get it back, or you do it better. Like I have this whole big thing because I've lost so many files in my life and stuff like that. And so,
I know we've had discussions about this.
And I'm just like, okay, just do it again, do it better. That's what it's meant to be.
Exactly. So, that actually, so something that we just talked about, or that you just said, made me really think about this. We're constantly changing. Mm-hmm. Our brains, our bodies, no matter whether like we want to or whether we're doing that deliberately or not. And so I guess my point is, if you're going to change, I would rather have a choice in the matter of what direction I'm changing in, right? So how do you want your brain to change? How do you want your body to change? And start making choices to go in the direction that you want rather than letting your habits go in whatever direction you may otherwise.
That is fair because the change doesn't have to be good.
Exactly.
Usually it's not good. Usually it's bad.
Exactly.
So it's like, which direction you want to go? Do you want to go forward or backward?
Yeah. And what is our primary resource to do that? It's time, which is limited. You cannot get it back, right? So we have to make purposeful choices of where to put that time in.
Okay. So outside of guitar, family, and being a doctor, do you have anything else where you choose to put your time into?
Sometimes I write, sometimes I read. And when I say read, I mean read things outside of medicine. So like right now I'm writing a book I have called Emotional Resilience. And it's basically about developing anxiety and dealing with it, or managing it, stuff like that. So one of the things that I'm dedicating time to at this point is reading books that are about this. And so I'm not just coming at it from solely my perspective of this, and actually reading about things that are already in this field, so I can gather information and kind of even still bring in my own perspective after reading those things from people that have been in this field for longer than I have, and then putting that into this book. And so that's the other like kind of creative endeavor that I'm putting my time into at this point.
So few people do that. Reading has become such a hit or miss art. Like either you're a reader or you're not, and it seems like there are so many more people who are not. But like,
and reading the online news today does not
count at all.
Exactly.
And so like I tell people like, okay, if you don't want to read, like definitely do like master classes and learn those skills like through that. But like, there's a certain power within reading that no other base form of learning comes from. Mm-hmm. Like I like to think of like life as like, if you think about your knowledge level is an encompassment of probably billions of different ideas that you've experienced and been taught
Yeah.
throughout like billion. I mean,
you stand on the shoulders of giants.
you do, and it's from the past and everything. So now think about if you took all the billions of those ideas and you put them into a book. Then somebody comes and reads that book. They literally get, they might not get the full billion that you have, but they might get 1,000,000, 100 million of that, and now they've gathered that for themselves.
Right.
Then think about it, now multiply that times I read 10 books a year. I read a book a month. Like you're getting, that's like 1.2 billion additional like percentage of what people have experienced together, and it's like you're gonna get better. You're gonna learn. You're gonna have a wider breadth of experience.
Right.
Like
and depth.
And depth. And so like that's like when you like think about things like the 13 and 1400s, and you have people like Marco Polo and all these people doing like world travels. Like the thing they did was they wrote books.
Yeah.
And people were like, I can't imagine a culture or a society who's doing these things. And it's like that's the thing that made them grow, and that's really what made like people started traveling because somebody else traveled somewhere and they wrote about it, and then like that's what made a large group of people. Now the first person who traveled, they probably were just crazy, or they just had a sense of adventure. They knew something that was great.
Columbus.
He definitely different motivations. Definitely different. But just not even gonna touch on that topic right now.
I thought it was funny to me.
It's funny, yeah, it's okay, buddy. But even before then, like I did say Marco Polo, but Marco Polo was like what 1300s. But like even before then, like you had to think that we had to travel to get to like we all started in Africa and we migrated to different places. So like even to get to that point, like to think about like traveling over to get into these different regions, like outside of just climate and resources and stuff like that, like what made other people who lived in one area want to go and see another area. Like it was probably you experienced something different, and you wrote about it, you told stories about it, which really telling stories was before we had such a solidified print and written language to kind of do that.
Right.
Like,
we were much more dependent upon oral tradition.
Yeah. And so it was like you told stories about it, and that made people want. So, and you tell stories like you're trying to paint these pictures and imagine, you're trying to give those experiences, and like that's what books do. Like, so when you're reading a book, you're imagining the characters, you're seeing yourself in the characters, you're painting all these pictures that the author wants you to see, and you're also painting pictures that the author can't even imagine because you're using your own experiences, and it's just like literally that's coming from you reading words. You could be the same effort that you take to be on your phone is the same effort that it takes for you to read a book. And like I have nothing against being on my phone. I scroll through Instagram, like my screen time is high, but I also like read books to unlock my mind. Like that's what it does. It unlocks your mind.
You know what I think that we should all strive to do, at least this is what you're saying is kind of building my idea about this, right? Is put time into things you lose yourself in. Those are the most important endeavors you can have.
Agreed.
That was the end of that thought. I have no further to go with it, but well, maybe not. So like when I'm playing guitar, that's something that I can do for hours and never feel like that. Okay, I got to stop this. Like I need a break or whatever, or reading a book about a subject that I'm really interested in, or watching a documentary about it, or talking to you. Right? There's certain things that if you do them, you lose yourself in it. I remember when I was doing martial arts in Grenada, it was something I would just do, and the time would pass, and I'd be like, oh, it's already like the end of like the day of us doing this, and it wasn't something that I was ever like, okay, wait, I need to be here at this time. When I got 20 minutes left here. Sorry, there's no watch on my hand, but that's find things that you can lose yourself in. So like Eminem.
Okay, funny. Music reference there, I guess. So if somebody said, BS, I just don't have time to really focus on myself. I don't have time to develop and do this. Like I got too much stuff on my plate that I can't do. I can only do what I currently am doing right now. I can do no more. What would you say to them? What would your advice be to them?
I would advise you to really look at what you're putting your time into during the day and seeing how much return it's giving you on your investment, right? So do you really need those 20 minutes of Facebook in the morning or when you get home or whatever? Or even if you had to give up an hour of sleep to really produce something that is soulful from you, I think that's something that is worthwhile. Now, sometimes the hour of sleep is going to be more important. I've had those days, right? And there are times when you just don't do that soulful thing if that is the only time that you have to give up. Because I definitely understand there's only so much time in the day, but I think a lot of times we put things that we actually value less than something else as a higher priority than that. And we do it unconsciously until we start to really dive in and say, okay, well, what I have to sacrifice, or what am I willing to give up to actually put more time into this instead?
See, I agree with everything you said, but I would just, ask them to go into the mirror and say, am I happy?
Yeah.
Like, very simple question. Very, like, am I happy? Am I where I want to be in life? Am I on the path to where I want to be? Because usually, where I want to be.
No, it's about the path.
Yeah. So am I on that path? And if your answer is yes, then I'm gonna shut up. Like, that's okay, cool. You're happy. You're on the path. Like,
no doubt. If you say yes to that question, I'm like, all right, I have nothing to give you.
Let me listen to your podcast.
Exactly.
Because I want to know how you got on that path.
Exactly.
But if your answer is no, but you feel like you don't have time, there's a contradiction somewhere in there.
Right.
Because it's like, why are you going to travel down a path that's not going to lead you to where you want to be? Like, you have to change. And then that goes back to the original point that we stated at the beginning of this podcast: sacrifice. Yes. What are you going to sacrifice in order to build a new path? So, if you're going left and you need to go straight, you're going to probably have to do something to get that path and turn it straight.
Right. Like, and so the response that I could sense someone having this is like, well, sacrifice is bad. Like, I don't want to sacrifice anything. And the thing that I would say is, to do everything that you are doing right now, you are sacrificing something else.
Yeah. You're always sacrificing.
And
every single time.
Exactly. And
life is sacrifice.
Choose what you're going to sacrifice would be what I'm saying. Again, it's about purposeful decisions.
Mm-hmm. Life is sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like, we boil it down. It's sacrifice. Like, I'm here with you, so I'm sacrificing something else on you. Like, that's what it is.
And it's about me actually valuing that sacrifice.
And that's where we don't see it as a negative thing. When you value, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I did this with Blair. He appreciated it. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, that's fine. Now, if you just started acting like an ass and stuff like that, then it's like, you know what? I should have did this other thing. Like, I spent all this time. I drove 50 miles to come see you.
Yep.
Yeah, I do drive 50 miles, buddy.
I know.
Yeah, but you appreciate it, so I never mind driving 50 miles. So yes. So I think this brings us to my favorite part of the podcast.
Okay.
You already said you got this one, but so movies, media, music, some kind of reference to something that is something that we enjoy that is art. So when it comes down to time, the principle of time, what is a good movie or other form of art that you think encompasses what time means to us and how to really manage it?
Seems like a big question.
It is. It's a huge question. We made time small and then we're making it big again.
Are we? Okay. So at the beginning of this, what I was initially thinking was the movie The Time Traveler's Wife.
Okay.
And that is a person who actually, like, I guess through some genetic anomaly, basically, is like jumping through time. And it's actually kind of like out of his control. And it's interesting because you see him meeting his wife and actually like future daughter in different periods of his life and theirs, right? So initially, like, he meets her. I don't remember anymore when he actually, like, for the first time met her. But you'll like see him, like, seeing her as a little girl even after they've already like developed their love and relationship. And it's really interesting because like he's like seeing her and he's like seeing her in this different light, I guess probably than any of us normally see, actually, really just any of us ever see, because you see this person that's going to become someone that is very dear to you, and still at like the end of his life, he's still like grasping for time. I don't know. I think it's funny. Even someone who is going through like different moments than we are at the end of the day is still grasping for one more moment with that person that he loves.
There's never enough moments.
No, there isn't, and that's something that I've definitely learned was the Facebook more important than another minute with you or another minute with my mom, talking about something that I have no interest in, right?
Yeah.
It's something that I'm like, please shut up. But at the end of the day, that's my mom, and I love my mom, right? No matter what she's talking about. And I would take that minute than the 15 more minutes that I could get with Facebook or whatever. And it's at the end of the day, it's about deciding what it is that you're valuing.
Fair. So I guess because of the question, it's going to be easy for us to do time traveling movies, because mine was definitely the butterfly effect.
I got it.
I love the butterfly effect. I really, Ashton Kutcher to me acted his butt off in the butterfly effect.
Yes, he did.
I thought it was a fantastic movie. I thought the whole premise, the idea, everything.
Yeah, he sucked at everything else, but that's about it.
That's all he needed to do. That's his masterpiece. But the interesting thing I found about that, which I find it holds true to life, that no matter what he did to change the bad things that happened, it always made other bad things happen.
Yep.
Which kind of shows that like bad things are going to happen regardless. I find it very comical when he does the scene where he saves the mother and child from the firecracker, and it's the most noble thing to do.
Yep.
But then because he saved them, he doesn't have like arms and legs now.
Yeah.
And so now, he's nubbed. I think he's at like literally his knees in there. So and like he knows he's done the right thing, and everyone initially in his life is doing so much better.
I know.
And this is like his like maybe like third journey down the line. Yep. And so like the other three, he might have been in a good place, but somebody else was in a bad place. Yep. But now like everybody's in a good place. He's like, this sucks because he's in the bad place. And so he's like looking for a bad thing to happen at this point, as opposed to like just kind of accepting. And then when he finds out that his mom picked up cigarettes after his after he got in an accident and saved people, and now she has like lung cancer from it. He's like, oh, okay, yes. Now I gotta go back and save my mom. And it's just like, but that's the whole thing about time. Bad things are always gonna happen. Good things are always gonna happen as well. Don't just think about the bad things. Think about the good things that will happen as with each of the different things. And so it was like with each of his different realities, it was like he only looked at the bad thing. So I know the first reality sucked because the girl that he loved did not do well. You know, and so like that sucks. You would hate to see her become that. Yeah. Then the next reality, like her brother, was a terrible person.
I think he was just a baseline terrible person.
Well, no, but then remember when he said that he became a great person. So it's like certain, and it just shows how certain bad circumstances are really the thing that we allow to shape our lives. Like why do we allow the bad to shape our life and not allow the good? Like, so again, the bad will happen and it's gonna suck. Like, I mean, and it's going to form things in you, and it's gonna change who you are forever.
It's gonna leave scars.
It is, but the good should help heal those scars. The good should be like, it's that mentality of, are you going to choose to focus on the good, or are you going to just harp on the bad? Right.
It's like the good should actually bring a different perspective to the bad.
Because it's like, you know, it's like if you get in a car accident, and literally you had a bad day, one thing, had a bad day, but did you think about that you ate today, and there are millions of people around the globe that don't eat? So what is a car when you don't have food in survival? You know, it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like the car versus, you know,
I
food.
love that pyramid.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But it's like food definitely is much more important than driving. But like, you didn't think about that you ate. You didn't think about that you have a shelter, you have a home to go to. So that would, again, millions of people don't have that. You think about it, if you're on your way to work, then you have a job. When we are in COVID-19 and millions of people lost their job, you're not thinking about any of those things. Your day is bad because of this one thing. And it's a bad thing to happen. It's like, it's something.
Yeah.
You know, we've all been in car accidents. They are never fun. Nobody's ever like, oh yeah, car accident, sign me up for that again. Like, no, they're never fun. But it's like, when that bad thing does happen, you know, maybe give yourself a moment to be in it, but like, get out of that moment, like, realize the moments around that moment.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a book that's called "There's No Such Thing as a Bad Day," and it's basically about this little girl's time in the cancer ward, where like, we know she's going to die in months, weeks to months, right? And so it was literally like a line that she said. She was like, gets up, she's like, why are you so happy? There's no such thing as a bad day. Like, when you keep that in perspective, you start to really choose to enjoy every moment.
That is fair. Yeah.
So like, when you get out, is your first thought, when you get in a car wreck, is your first thought, oh shit, my car? Or is it like, oh my gosh, is the person that like I got involved with okay? Mm-hmm. Like, what can I do to help them out? Stuff
and
like
are you okay? Like, if you're okay physically, like, that's great. Like, you don't even think about that kind of stuff.
And it's, or was it, oh, that was their fault. It wasn't my fault.
It's definitely about that.
Right. There's so many things that we can think of. And I think our first subconscious thought to that shows so much about where our values are. And maybe how our values we should start trying to change them. Right.
That's fair. Yes. Good one. That's a good one. All right. I think that's all I had to say on that.
That's all I got. That's all I got. My mic has dropped.
Okay. Well, I guess that means it's time for the last portion of the podcast.
Yes.
What did we learn about each other today? Well, mine's very simple. I learned that you picked back your guitar again.
My hand is less numb than it was.
I know you were having some,
I kind of just did what you said, and you're like, play anyway. Like, your hand falls off. It's okay.
Yeah, we'll get
you another one.
Some hand problems, like a little bit of numb. And I was like, just bring your happiness, just play through the pain.
Play through the pain.
Sacrifice. What are you going to sacrifice for it?
My hand.
It's okay. Hopefully you got 20 years, and by that would be half robots.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's good. I'm happy that brought me joy to hear that, you really picked it back up, because I know how much it means to you. So that's really good, buddy. I'm happy for that.
Yeah, me too. I learned that you like Ashton Kutcher.
I think it's a good guy. Like,
he is a pretty good guy.
He's
actually
guy.
like,
as a human being, he's a good guy. I actually usually enjoy his movies.
I do too. I was just kidding. But I don't know. It's funny to, I think, who we like, and what we're actually watching says a lot about who we are and what we're valuing. So I don't know, that movie it's literally about, like, it is literally about values and priorities. It's like, well, I have this, and then I went back and changed this, and then I had to give up this, but I gained this. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of speaks to how you see things too.
It does.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that concludes this episode of Breaking and Entering. As always, I'm Enoch.
I'm Blair.